In this module, we'll cover how to safely remove and install a battery. Before we get started, it's important to note that in some states, removal and installation of a battery can only be performed by a licensed technician. Please familiarise yourself with the requirements for your state and discuss with your manager whether you should obtain the necessary qualification. Read the owner's manual for any specific instructions. If not available, you should ask the owner for permission to proceed using industry best practice. Before beginning the process of removing and installing a battery, you should firstly gather the appropriate tools. You will need the following: spanners in a variety of sizes, a large flathead screwdriver, a wire terminal brush, a terminal expander, safety glasses, a battery saver. If working in a traffic area, you will also need high visibility clothing, access to an eye wash bottle or eye wash station, a towel or cloth, and a torch or work light. Removing a battery may seem like a simple process, but it can also be a dangerous one. It's important that we're aware of all the safety requirements before we begin. All jewellery should be removed from the hands and neck prior to any handling of a battery in a vehicle. Safety glasses should be worn at all times. High visibility apparel should be worn if working in public areas, such as a car park or road. If acid comes into contact with your eyes, rinse continuously and seek medical assistance. In all instances of acid burns, contact a doctor or hospital immediately. Acid can also damage the vehicle and paintwork. If any acid comes into contact with the vehicle, wash immediately and thoroughly with water. Please check the following items on the customer's vehicle before proceeding. Ensure battery terminals are in good condition. If not, recommend replacements. If these items are not present or in good condition, then staff should not proceed, as there is a great chance of explosion or fire once the battery is installed. In this section, we'll show you how to remove the battery from the vehicle safely. Turn off ignition and remove keys from the ignition. Some vehicles will automatically lock the doors once the power is disconnected. Ask the customer to release the bonnet or boot, depending on the location. This will avoid liability, as some levers are prone to breakage. Check for a strong sulphur smell around the battery and/or an excessively hot battery case. Both of these symptoms can signal an overcharging alternator. Important, if either of these are detected, stop and seek assistance from a senior staff member. The introduction of a spark at this point may result in an explosion. Before removing the battery, carefully note the location of the positive post. It is of note that the positive post is larger than the negative post to minimise the risk of incorrect connections. Often the battery is marked with a plus or minus symbol to indicate the positive and negative. This will minimise the danger of installing a new battery with the polarity reversed. Before removing leads, connect a fully charged battery saver to the terminal leads, ensuring the negative and positive are connected correctly. Remove the negative lead first to avoid damage to the wiring or battery by accidentally earthing tools. When removing or tightening nuts, use the correct spanners. Once the negative terminal is removed and clear of the negative post, you can remove the positive terminal. Disconnect the battery vent if present. Once the battery is completely disconnected, you can then remove the hold-down clamp. You are then able to remove the battery from the vehicle. Please take care, as batteries are heavy. If assistance is required, please ask a colleague and not the customer. Safety is of a great concern, and we want to minimise the potential for injury to yourself, your workmates and the customer. We also want to avoid any damage to the customer's vehicle. After safely removing the battery from the vehicle, inspect the battery tray for acid damage and ensure that the tray and hold downs are mechanically strong and free from corrosion. Examine the cables to make certain the insulation is intact and that the terminal and bolts are not corroded. If required, corroded parts in cable terminals can be cleaned with a mild solution of water and baking soda by scrubbing them with a terminal brush. Corroded parts should then be dried. Before installing into the vehicle, it is imperative that the terminals of the new battery, regardless of their appearance, be cleaned to remove oxidisation. Clean the terminals with your wire terminal brush. Make sure that there are no foreign objects, such as a loose nut or stone lying in the bottom of the tray. These could puncture the battery casing, causing loss of acid and failure. Carefully lift the new battery and set it in the battery tray. The battery should sit flat. The hold down should be replaced and tightened until firm. It shouldn't be tight enough to distort or crack the casing. Once the battery is firmly in place, the terminal cables can be reconnected. Connect the positive terminal first and the negative terminal last. Please note that even a brief reverse polarity connection may cause damage to the electrical system of the vehicle. Never hammer the cable terminals onto the battery posts. The lid in terminal post connections or terminal seal could be severely damaged. Now you have an understanding of how to safely remove and install a battery. But please note that in some states, a battery can only be removed and installed by a licensed technician. Please familiarise yourself with your state's individual requirements and discuss with your manager whether you should obtain the necessary qualification. That concludes this module, but don't forget, if you have any other questions, your local Supercharge representative is only a phone call away.
I'm Billy Slater. For me, it's all about performance. Think performance, think Supercharge batteries.